It was a name that came up quite early on, which is a bit 50-50 with us. Sometimes we get album titles quite early on and we stick with them, and you know, it seems to keep everybody happy, and you know, it works for the whole project. Or sometimes it's, you know, last day mad, like everybody trying to like think of really, you know, sort of like any title that can come into their heads. So yeah, we just felt that it summed up the eclectic nature of the songs and the sounds on the album.
I think the songs on this record have a sort of much more sort of positive spin on them, more sort of open, spiritual, you know, for want of a better word, in its content, and sort of, you know, looking outwards a lot more. And you know, I think you know, music has always been, you know, we try to make it anyway. It's atmospheric and visual, and you know, it's a great. The sounds of the universe just sounds right, and like I said earlier, I like the arrogance of it too.
Also, the word universe has come up a few times in the lyrics for the new songs, and you know, we think it's quite pompous, which is, and slightly witty. So we thought it was a good title.
I always find it difficult to pinpoint any themes that sort of go along with lyrical content and musical content, but they develop. They seem to develop during the recording. I mean, there's definitely themes there within the songs, and I would say that you know, they're sort of loosely tied together.
I think that there's quite a broad variety, really. There's not really a theme to the record, other than like all the themes that I always write about, I suppose. I keep joking about it, that I keep writing the same songs over and over again, but it's sort of true up to a point.
I interpret them as looking at my part in situations, and they can be everyday situations or situations that are happening in the world, and quite often how I feel about that is how I use my voice. You know, I kind of want to draw you into the song.
Depeche Mode normally write, you know, songs about life, you know, the world we live in and life in general. It's one of our sayings, and musically, you know, we've sort of maybe gone a bit more electronic on this album. Martin's had this obsession with buying old synthesizers on eBay, and that's been quite interesting and quite, you know, as soon as one arrives, we get it out and try it and stuff. So that's been quite cool. But I think the main thing about the album is, which is different, Martin's really become quite prolific in the last couple of years. So we've got a lot more songs than we normally have.
We first got together, I think it was in January of this year, something like that. We went to Mark's place, and Daniel and Jonathan, me and Fletcher, Martin, we sat in his studio and listened to the work he'd been doing, and I had a bunch of things that I'd been doing, and sort of loosely talked about, and Ben was there as well, Ben Hillier, actually, and he got very excited about some ideas he had about approach, and there being some more performance in the studio from us, which is, you know, that's the performance that happens in the studio. It's not like us sort of all getting together and jamming or something. You know, but quite often you know, a song will be sort of structured around, you know, Martin playing a guitar line or something, or me, you know, singing, and sometimes us doing that together. But you know, quite often that becomes the kind of anchor that the rest of the song is kind of built from. And I think we, you know, at first what happens is you kind of you throw a lot of stuff down, and then gradually, you know, it becomes a case of like taking things away rather than adding more. But we got together. I guess we went away and took the songs away, and I spent, before we actually began recording, I went straight back home. I came straight back to New York, and I began working on, with my voice, on Martin's songs, because I really was inspired by a lot of them, and I wanted to bring something to those songs with my voice. And so I sort of began to work every day as if I was sort of rehearsing for a tour or something. And what I found was, after a while, really allowing myself to sort of become part of the songs, I started to forget about what I thought they were supposed to sound like and what I was supposed to sound like in it, and just was able to use what I had to contribute to it and add to it and hopefully enhance the feeling of the songs. So when we first got together, I mean, Ben Hillier was one of the first to notice that how much sort of a preparation I'd done, but it really served me well, because once I sort of stepped up to the mic in the studio, and I perform sort of live in the studio anyway, I don't go into any vocal booth or anything. I like to just hold a microphone and